Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to learn the indexedB. IndexedB is one of the most interesting technologies that we can use in these modern times. Exactly. As an engineer, as a developer, I always try to get things at a higher level, and this is what I've come with. It's a database that is in your browser, and the capabilities depend on your browser. Obviously, the minimum capability is 2 GBs, whereas in a local storage the minimum capabilities is only 5 MB, and it resembles the data structure of MongoDB, a JSON-like format, or like a local storage as well. So IndexedDB is one of the most uh, browser-oriented database that you can use for larger amount of data. Obviously, when you pull a larger amount of data from your backend part into your front end, it need to be stored, it need to be cached, or it need to be processed in some way, and that's where IndexedDB comes in most handy. So I have created a full Crud operation with the IndexedDB, simplifying all the things IndexedDB have. So let's start with each and everything, and it's just an index.html file with the script tags added to it, the index.js. Now setting up the indents for the IndexedDB is as IndexedDB has different instances for different browsers, so we collect all of them. If this does not have existence, then IndexedDB is not supported on that browser, obviously. Now I have database values over here for the bikes, the ID, the name, the model, and the year, and you can see the year is not inside any other data, as I wanted to show you that IndexedDB has the variation like the MongoDB, so you can put as many as field as you want in the data structure. It does not mean that you have to mold it out in the same type. Okay, so now creating the database. Obviously creating the database is just creating the database from the scratch. So window.indexedb, obviously open, and my IndexedDB. Obviously you can use this IndexedDB over here, or window.indexedb would do the job as well. So I have kept both of it, so you can use this, and obviously I will put this file on the description as well. So window.indexedb and my bike indexedb. So this is the database name, and this is the version of this database. And if you change the version of the database, then it can be done with 2 or 3 different versions of the databases, obviously. So as you know, when you create a database, there is an on error functionality. If the database is not able to create, if the database is not able to move, then this on error functionality will be fired out, and obviously there is a console log for this section. The request.on upgrade needed. This is a function that obviously when the database has been created, it triggers on. Okay, it triggers on the first time. So here event.target.result.db. So this is the instance for the database. So db is the instance for the database. Now we are creating the database over here. So database, to create an object, this is bike. Okay, the key path finder. So the key path finder is the ID, or the auto increment ID system that you exactly stores data in, and in a MySQL or any other SQL type formats, obviously. Now object store dot create index. Now we are creating index, so for the database, because if you wanted to search faster, the objective of IndexedDB is to search it faster. So we have created a index for this. So name index and model index. So we can search it by two ways, either the name or the model. The year we have not done. You can try it with the year as well. So this is the name index, name, unique, false. I have as I am using different kind of names with the same names, I also wanted to show you some examples, so I have kept it false. And model number, I have also kept it false, but you can kept it true. If you kept it true and give the data over here with the same name, it will not get inserted, obviously. So this is where the database is being created. When you create a new database or increase the version number of an existing database, this function triggers out. On upgrade needed. Okay, so this function triggers out. Now obviously after everything, a success method comes in to the scenario where you actually have a success process of the database has been created successfully. Now that to have the DB instance, obviously event.target.result, you get the DB instance over here. Now you are creating the data. Now you are inserting the data. How to insert the data? So for inserting the data, you have to be the db.transition bikes read write object store bikes. So we are creating, so my database name was my bike indexedDB, right? I have created object bikes. Now I am transitioning, I am telling that it should be read write, it should be read mode as well, it should be read write, and I am trying to create an object called bikes. So obviously this is where I create the instance for my object. Now obviously I have the bike data and I have for each loop and I add the bikes. Now until this I have creating the database. So let's first check it out. I will use with go live section. This is the extension, live extension actually. Yes, live server extension. So go live, and this is the easiest way to go live with an index.html and HTML document exactly. So I click it, it runs, and it takes my default browser. So you cannot see anything over here, but if you go under the hood over here and if you pull this up, if you go into the application, if you see there is a database created. Okay, so my bike database. So bike is the main section and all the data has been created. All the data has been created. Okay. So these are the two index also has been generated, the name index and the model index. Obviously Google Chrome shows these indexes, but Mozilla Firefox does not show these indexes exactly. Now I wanted to get the information that I need. There are two processes of doing this, the query 1 process, the query 2 process. I will show two of these process, and let me open the code first. So I want to get the transition first, the transition of the bytes. I have not written it in a single line, it has been break down in a separate line, so like this. So because I am not passing this read write, so I can use the transition object store, that is byte, the store name. I have created two indexes for this, the name index, that is obviously the name index here, and the model index, obviously this model index. I have named these variables as name index and model index. Okay, now ID query. So first I am querying with the ID, so number 4 data, querying with the ID. Okay, and now I want to get all Kawasaki's. So these are the two Kawasaki's over here, and model index should be 1000 RR. 1000 RR is the CPR. Okay, so obviously this has this each and every query has an error process and an on success process. So on error something happens, on success something happens. I do not have to show anything on the errors, So on success, I have just console.log the results. Okay, the three of the same. So if you give a space over here, the three of the same thing: the name, the model, the make, and the ID query. So let's just run this code again, and you can see my first one, the ID, the BMW, the fourth ID, the second two are the Kawasaki's, the third one is the CPR 1000. So it queries down the data. Now there's another shorter process of doing this. So this is one: db.transition bikes objects.show bike. I've told you in the first line that I have not written in the same line. It is on the same line, just get one ID and console.log. You can use the get over here to get all, and obviously get with the model also with the indexes, but I have used the IDs over here. So let's see. Obviously it has been refreshed, and you can see the third one is also the ID section. There are 4 results now. The one ID. So one number is Yamaha, and you can see the Yamaha one on 2017. Okay. So this is where the query comes into the scenario. Now, if you have to update the data, how will you update the data? That comes into this portion of the code. If you open the code, it's pretty much simple. You create the same transaction from the DB. Okay, object create, object update. You first get the which ID number you wanted to update, a request for the update. On error, obviously there is an error if you are going to update. If not, there is a success on success event, and on success event you get the data, event.target.result, the data. The data.event.target.result is the data, means for ID 4 I'm getting the data. The ID 4 object has been stored into the data. Now data.name is I'm changing to Royal Enfield. Now let's go and check what is ID 4 is BMW. Now it will be changing to Royal Enfield. Okay, and obviously on the error the data has not been updated, and obviously on success the data has been updated. Now if you go, you can see the message has been already printed, because you do not have to refresh this page. The live server already refreshed the page. And if you go into the application, and if you go into the bike section, you can see just refresh this and refresh one more time. Yeah, you can see the data is Royal Enfield over here. The 4 number data is Royal Enfield over here. Now you can obviously delete the data. In deleting the data, you can go start the same transaction with just the get. It should be deleted, and ID number 1 should be deleted. ID number 1 is deleted for this one. Sometimes you have to refresh this database, obviously, over here. Now this is where I have created the whole Crud operation with the indexedDB, and you can see at the very end I said when the transaction is completed you can close the DB. This is the transition is completed. You can close the DB. You can close the DB after each and every transition, and that is not means that you have to do it here. You can close it after update. You can close it after delete query. You can close it after any kind of query. I have just shown you an example over here. Now you can go and play with it with a lot of different aspects. I want to cover a little bit more over here, and you can, this is the official documentation of the indexedB, and you can see this is a mozilla.org, and you know they for the JavaScript they are the pioneer for this. So you can go through documentation, and you have each and everything on this documentation over here. And if you scroll down a little bit lower, you can obviously find an example of it. Try an example and the source code, but this source code is much more advanced, so I have simplified it in a pretty much easier way to understand. Obviously these kind of things are much more complicated, and this is not for a very beginner's person, but this is something to be very much experienced developer can use and control these things. Obviously there are a lot of extra things that also indexedB offers. That is so this is something where the things is version change while a web app is open in another tab. So you have that application open in different tab. How will you handle this kind of blockage system on block, on request? How will you process this? This is whole written over here, and obviously you can go and you can have a cursor search. Obviously cursor search here using index, using a cursor, and you can use the cursor as well over here. So there is a lot to explore. I want you to go and use this code, and I want you to write this code yourself and use this, and this is a very good technology to use in the front end for larger amount of data who are using it. Happy coding. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video.